This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Well, one of the benefits of playing in the regular commander room is that you can play with what would otherwise be banned commanders in the 1v1 room. Edric, Spymaster of Trest, up against Heliod Suncrowned, and we are mulliganing that hand. That is looking a lot better, so we will keep... Yeah, should probably keep the days, but yeah, let's get rid of that. No turn 1 plays for our opponents, so we'll go for... this is an elf, isn't it? As is the Llanowar elf, so we'll go for Cavern of Souls, naming elf. And then Felwar Stone from our opponent. And they can make white with that, which is noteworthy because we could make white with Cavern of Souls if we had any white elves in the deck. So we'll just get more creatures into play here. We're not going to be attacking him with any this turn, so no point getting Edric down. Play out both the Slitherblade and the Smuggler's Copter, which we can crew with the Llanowar elves next turn. Our opponent just holding up mana curiously, so it might be that they've got some kind of destruction exile spell for the Edric. We'll test them on it. And then crew up the Smuggler's Copter. Actually, we can crew it up with the Edric, can't we? Didn't think of that. And then turn these 3 creatures in sideways towards our opponents. We stand to draw 3 cards here, assuming they can't get rid of our commander. And we will loot with the Smuggler's Copter first. And there's Cathar Commando, so they can chump something. And they can also destroy the Smuggler's Copter, one or the other. They can actually only block the Llanowar elves here, so it's probably a good idea to blow up the Copter. Getting into yet another land, so glad to see the back of that. Let's just get rid of the island. And they decided to block the Llanowar elves, and then in response to blocks, get rid of Smuggling Copter. So we only hit with the Slitherblade here. We do still get to keep our mana dork though. And clearing another land off the top, unfortunately. Tyrite Sanctum into play, but they went for... that is Cleansing Nova, destroy all creatures. So we'll certainly put our commander back in the command zone, and this is where drawing into all those lands was relevant. Now we get into the counterspell. So I'll just go for the Tropical Island with the fetch, and we'll hold up counterspell. They get Inventor's Fair now, and that is Daxos Blessed by the Sun. Yeah, that could be a headache for us with its big toughness, but I'm not going to counter it. And Heliod we certainly will counter. That will take over their next turn, I dare say. They're down to 2 cards in hand at least. And make that 1. A flyer with lifelink. Okay, Sylvan Library. I'm actually tempted to go for that instead of Edric. Yeah, we're not going to hit with Edric regardless, so we might as well go for the Sylvan Library, I think. And I'll save the shuffle effect. Could get a tap land out with this, but we'll just take 2 less life to the breeding pool instead. Save the shuffle effect for if we don't see anything we like. On top with Sylvan Library, probably going to just have 3 lands on top. This game's anything to go by. So tapping out into Heliod like we thought they would. And tapping out their creatures as well. They did manage, I thought Heliod was 2 mana. Yeah, I thought they only have 1 mana up there, but anyway, they did give the Daxos lifelink. So gaining life twice there from 2 lifelinks, plus counter apiece. And alright, finally getting into some creatures here as well as a Spell Pierce. We will just keep all of these. Drop the Elvish Mystic and the Fairy Seer. And we'll get a Scry 2 with the Fairy. That is a Worldly Tutor, which is going to be a bit too slow for us, I think. I do like Vendilion Click though. So let's bottom that and top the click. And then we'll just play Strip Mine, hold up the Spell Pierce, which I don't think is going to be relevant, but you never know with Spell Pierce. Yet another land for them. And that is Temple of the False God, which is online. Followed by a Burnished Heart, so they've got all the mana. And that is a creature, of course, so it triggers the Daxos for a life, which will trigger the Heliod. And they should probably put that on the flyer, and they do. Do they want to swing in with the flyer is the question, because we can swing straight back at them and draw some cards. They do. They can give the Daxos lifelink, don't forget. And they're just straight up sacrificing the Burnished Heart now. I've been wondering about strip mining this. Yeah, putting an indestructible counter on a god. And just like that, they're down to 0 cards in hand. They do give their demigod lifelink, as we thought they would. Gonna have to really watch our life total now that Sylvan Library is potentially going to be losing us a lot of life. Tamiyo Safekeeping, I don't particularly care about any of these, so we'll put them on top and shuffle them away. This is exactly why I held on to the Wooded Foothills. So we'll shuffle before we draw with Edric. And then we'll just swing in with the Fairy Seer because I want to hold up mana for the Vendilion Click. Might look at my own library actually. Do we put it on the bottom? Yeah, we put it on the bottom and draw. I might get rid of the Spell Pierce. Target ourselves with that. So triggering the Edric, we will draw, and alright, Mystical Tutor. Yeah, we have a stop on the upkeep, so we can go for that if we want to. That is a Cliffside Rescuer. Target permanent you control gains protection from each of your opponents. And that animates the Heliod, so we're going to have to do some chump blocking here, I think. We'll block with the Elvish Mystic, and then we'll go for this Vendilion Click, try and get something going. They make this thing an indestructible god. That's why I wanted to blow this up with Strip Mine previously, but yeah, haven't really had the time to do it, unfortunately. Our opponent got off to a really good start against us. And then giving that lifelink. Heliod can't give itself lifelink. Go for the Vendilion Click, and we'll put our Spell Pierce on the bottom of our library. And just getting into yet another land, so yeah, maybe not destined to win this one. We'll see what we can tutor for with the tutor during the upkeep here before we draw. Cryptic Command could help us to tap down all the creatures. That's only buying us a little bit of time. Notorious Throng. We need to hit with a rogue. And the only rogue we've got is the Edric, so yeah, I think it's Cryptic Command here. Once again getting into an island, so that can go on top. We'll take the Siren Storm Tamer, which I actually don't think we can play this turn thanks to all the blue mana into Cryptic Command. And we'll just draw the additional cards. That has Vigilance, doesn't have Reach or Flying. Hopefully our opponent plays a spell during the main phase so we can counter and tap down their creatures. But they do know about the Cryptic Command thanks to the clause on the tutor, so they shouldn't do that. Alright, another counter in Spell Stutter Sprite as well. So that could be useful to us, but I think they're just going wide on us over the next turn or two. So doing the right thing here, going straight through to combat and forcing us to use the Cryptic Command. We'll just go for the cantrip and tap creatures. And we draw ourselves into a Scrib Ranger. They do have another spell to cast though in Welcoming Vampire. That is card draw for them as well as a flyer, unfortunately. Alright, that is the Spell Pierce again. Yeah, don't really want any of this. There's nothing we're doing here, I don't think. Spell Pierce on top. 4 life for the Arbor Elf to maximise the amount of cards that we can get. And we'll just turn everything in sideways. Of course, blocking the Edric, and they should give lifelink here. Blocking the Edric, giving the Welcoming Vampire lifelink. And we just draw into a land on top of the Spell Pierce. So we just play out the spells that we can here, but our opponent's going wide on us here. Nothing we can do. Could have played out the Spell Stutter Sprite there before blocks and untapped a creature with the Scrib Ranger, but they still would have gone wide on us, like I say. So that was a really good game from our opponent. We'll try another one with Edric. That should be a pretty scary matchup for us, up against Elesh Norn. And we have a one-lander, so we'll mulligan that. That is a much better hand, so we will keep it. I think we're fine getting rid of a land there. Our opponent plays a Castle Ardenvale. And that's a 4 spike for us. Yeah, we should probably hold off on Edric so that we can hold up 4 spike, but yeah, we'll play it out now. Can't swing in with the Birds of Paradise and have it hit our opponents, so we are kind of reliant on Edric hitting them. I would think they would want to ramp with Elesh Norn as opposed to deal with Edric straight away. Alright, there's an Authority of the Consuls. We do have a little bit of haste in Lightning Greaves, so that'll be good against that. Hit our opponent with Edric, Spymaster of Trest, and another land for us, so we'll get the creature into play so that we can hit them with it next turn. That will gain them a life, unfortunately. And now if they go for some kind of rock, we might be able to really hurt them with a 4 spike here. Alright, say Hushbringer. I don't think we particularly care about that. We've got Rex Sage in the deck. I mean, it's a flyer that's in the way, so yeah, we can maybe go for Mana Drain onto that. It's not the best Mana Drain anyone's ever cast, but it does get the creature out of the way and we can continue to draw and refill our hand with that out of the way, so I think it's worthwhile doing. Okay, more counter magic. Can't make use of the mana from Mana Drain, unfortunately. So seeing as how we've got counter magic available to us, do we just go for a buff on the Birds of Paradise? I think we do. So Vines of Vastwood is a hexproof enabler, but it's also +4/+4, so we'll have the Birds of Paradise deal some damage here. Our opponent pausing on the beginning of combat step, and they rightfully have us attacking, because if they got rid of Edric there, then I might have held back the Birds of Paradise, because then we could have afforded both of our counter spells, but they do allow us to draw 3 cards by hitting them 3 times. Okay, and there's an Arbor Elf. I am just going to hold on to that because I want to hold up the memory lapse. Can always snap at the end of my opponent's turn as well if needs be. Cavern of Souls isn't good news for us. Hopefully they just use Praetor with that. Yep, just saying Praetor, so that is literally just for their commander. That is a Cursed Totem. Not particularly bothered about that one. But it seems as though they've got a lot of Hate Bears in the deck to try and slow people down. So it's risky, but I'll go for an activation on the Flooded Strand here in order to get a tap land out, because it could be that our opponent had a Swords or something and then they'd be able to pay for the Force Spike. But that didn't matter apparently, so we'll go through to combat again, draw a couple more cards. Oh, actually, it's any activated ability on this, isn't it? Including mana abilities, so that actually switches off the Birds of Paradise, which I didn't realise. We actually can't activate this anymore as well, but I'm more bothered about getting in for combat. So it's some more creatures that we're just going to be swinging in with, apparently. Let's crack the Verdant Catacombs. Go for a Dryad Arbor with that one. Start swinging in with it next turn. We'll get down the Arbor Elf as well. And also the Boreal Druid. Only thing I'm really worried about now is something like a Thran Dynamo, Gilded Lotus, a board wipe, so I'm hoping that the memory lapse is going to be enough there. And that is Thalia. I mean, once again, it's another creature that is going to be in our way, so can't see they play any ramp for 2 mana that we'll be worried about. Actually, we'll go for Snap on that instead of countering it. So return that back to the hand with Snap. Untapping the lands doesn't particularly matter, but we'll do that anyway. Okay, need to stop getting into lands preferably, so let's go through to combat and swing in with everything. Hitting our opponent with 5 triggers this time. Clearing a bunch of lands off the top here, unfortunately. Alright, there's an opposition. Beastmaster Ascension will be good to drop in the next few turns. Yeah, we're 1 creature away from that, unfortunately. Let's drag another land out of the library with Misty Rainforest. And then it would be nice to get down opposition, but we're just continuing to hold up this counter magic, I think. So maybe maximise mana by going Beastmaster Ascension here. Does mean that we can't hold up Force Spike, unfortunately. And there we see Thalia again. So I think it would be a good idea to memory lapse that. We can screw over there next turn. And our opponent just decided to scoop it up at that. Yeah, if they continue to play it out, they might have actually been able to get from underneath us there. It depends on what we draw. Well, that's more counter magic, so maybe not. Yeah, they weren't going to land their Elesh Norn anytime soon, I don't think. Next turn we were likely going to get down opposition and start tapping down their lands to mess with them. And then we would have been slowly ticking up Beastmaster Ascension, which wasn't online next turn, but it would have been the turn after. So yeah, that's likely what would have occurred there. Hopefully you all enjoyed this visit to Edric. This is the first time I've played with Edric. You can have a look at the deck list in the description if you want. Be sure to support on Patreon if you're able to, and enjoy the videos as well. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.